Have you ever seen someone lie so confidently that they actually believed nobody could expose them? Well, this woman walked into court thinking she had the perfect scam, but just 12 minutes later, one simple test destroyed her entire life on national television. And the craziest part? The one who exposed her wasn't a lawyer, wasn't a witness, it was a golden retriever. Today we're talking about one of the wildest courtroom moments ever caught on camera. The case of Karen Whitmore, a woman who pretended to be blind for money, sympathy, and lawsuits until Judge Judy completely destroyed her story in front of millions of viewers. Karen Whitmore entered the courtroom wearing designer sunglasses and carrying a spotless white cane. From the second she walked in, she acted completely helpless, reaching around dramatically, stumbling over chairs, speaking softly like someone fighting through a tragic disability. Honestly, it looked more like a performance than reality. Karen claimed she suddenly lost her eyesight because of a rare medical condition. According to her story, she had become completely blind only months earlier. Shortly after that, her boss fired her because she couldn't work anymore. That boss was Barbara Chen, a small business owner who ran an accounting firm. Karen sued Barbara for $125,000, accusing her of disability discrimination and emotional distress. At first glance, Karen looked believable. She had the cane, the sunglasses, the emotional story. But Barbara wasn't buying it. Barbara explained that after Karen announced her blindness, strange things started happening at work. Employees claimed they saw Karen driving her car perfectly fine. Others noticed her reading messages on her phone without assistance. Security footage even showed her walking through the office normally whenever she thought nobody was watching. And when Barbara confronted her about it, Karen threatened to sue. Now here's the thing Karen didn't realize. Judge Judy had already done her homework before the case even started. She reviewed the security footage. She checked Karen's social media accounts. And most importantly, she contacted the doctor whose name appeared on Karen's medical documents. That's when everything started falling apart. During the hearing, Karen gave a long emotional speech about how hard life had become after losing her sight. She described struggling to make coffee, navigate her apartment, and survive in a world that suddenly went dark. Some people in the audience actually looked sympathetic, but Judge Judy just sat there quietly watching her. Then came the first crack in Karen's story. Judge Judy asked about the doctor treating her condition. Dr. Michael Stevens. Karen confidently claimed he was a respected eye specialist managing her case, but Judge Judy immediately shut her down. Because according to the judge, Dr. Stevens had retired months earlier and hadn't treated patients in over a year, the courtroom went dead silent. Judge Judy revealed she personally contacted the doctor's office and discovered the medical letter Karen submitted was fake, a complete forgery. At that moment, Karen started panicking. She tried blaming paperwork mistakes and misunderstandings, but Judge Judy wasn't having it. Then things got even worse. Barbara presented evidence showing Karen at a shooting range in Nevada just weeks earlier. Photos showed her aiming at targets and hitting bullseyes from long distance. Judge Judy looked directly at her and asked, "How does a completely blind woman shoot targets with perfect accuracy?" Karen scrambled for excuses. She claimed the photos were old, then said her account was hacked, then claimed blind people can still sense things. But every excuse only made her look guiltier. At this point, Judge Judy decided to test Karen herself. She asked Karen to demonstrate how she uses her white cane to navigate, and honestly, it was a disaster. Karen waved the cane around awkwardly, like she had watched one YouTube tutorial 5 minutes before court. Even Judge Judy pointed out that real mobility cane users don't move like that. The audience was already starting to realize this woman might be faking everything. But Judge Judy wasn't finished yet, because she had prepared something special. Suddenly, the courtroom doors opened, and in walked a golden retriever named Bailey. Bailey was a professionally trained service dog used to assist visually impaired individuals inside the courthouse. And the second the dog entered the room, Karen's entire body language changed. She stiffened immediately. Her head subtly tracked the dog's movement across the courtroom, something impossible for someone who was supposedly completely blind. Judge Judy noticed everything. She calmly explained that Bailey would help Karen walk safely across the courtroom. Karen immediately became nervous and said she didn't need the dog. That alone already looked suspicious. But then came the moment that exposed everything. Judge Judy instructed Karen to walk toward the bench while Bailey remained sitting directly in her path. As Karen started walking, she smoothly adjusted her direction and walked perfectly around the dog without touching it or detecting it with her cane. She avoided Bailey naturally, like someone who could clearly see exactly where the dog was sitting. The courtroom exploded with whispers. Judge Judy instantly called her out. "How did you know the dog was there?" Karen desperately claimed she could sense the dog's presence somehow. At this point, nobody believed her anymore. But Judge Judy still had one final move left, and this is the moment that broke the internet. The bailiff handed Judge Judy a bright yellow tennis ball. Judge Judy looked at Karen and said, "I'm going to perform one final test." Without warning, Judge Judy suddenly threw the tennis ball directly at Karen's face, and instinctively, Karen reacted. Her hands shot up instantly, and she caught the ball perfectly. Clean catch, perfect timing, perfect hand-eye coordination. The entire courtroom froze, because in that single moment, Karen destroyed her own lie. A blind person cannot visually track a fast-moving object flying through the air and catch it perfectly. But Karen did. She stood there holding the tennis ball in complete shock, realizing her scam was officially over. Judge Judy looked at her and delivered the line that ended everything. "Blind people do not catch balls thrown at their face." That was it. Karen finally broke down crying and admitted the truth. She confessed she was desperate for money and thought she could get away with pretending to be disabled, but the nightmare was only beginning. Judge Judy revealed Karen had filed multiple fake disability lawsuits against different employers and had already collected thousands in fraudulent disability payments. The total fraud amounted to nearly $87,000. The judge immediately dismissed the lawsuit and ordered authorities to investigate Karen for criminal fraud, forgery, and perjury. And after the episode aired, the clip went massively viral. Millions of people shared the moment Karen caught the tennis ball. Social media completely exploded. Even disability advocates praised Judge Judy for exposing someone who mocked real blind individuals for personal gain. Eventually, Karen pleaded guilty to fraud charges and was sentenced to prison along with full repayment of the stolen money. And Bailey, the golden retriever? She became an internet legend because in the end, it wasn't just Judge Judy who exposed the scam. It was one dog, one tennis ball, and 1 second of instinct that destroyed an entire fake life.